Can't believe it.
Love.
Alright. Let's try and unscuff this a little bit. Eh, eh, eh. There we go.
Oh, we're here. Okay.
We are here.
Here we are.
Wow, you didn't even let me start. Oh my goodness. You lied to me. Okay, get this, guys. So before the stream starts, she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let you do all the talking. Just let me know when to open my mouth. And the very first thing she does, start talking. Can't believe it. I've been lied to.
I had the stream open to check the chat. Oh my goodness.
I can't
so
believe
sorry.
this. This is awful. It's irrecoverable.
You
It is indeed starting. Hello, everybody. Wow, I see like a good amount of names that I don't recognize. Maybe I'm just really bad at this. Either way, Ohayo Tori. It's
Ohayo
me,
Tori.
Ootori. Do you mind? Thank you. Thank you. God. Ohayo Tori. Ootori Kagerou desu. And with me is Miyu Sugimoto. She managed to get time off for work to do nerd things. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Sugimoto Miyu desu. よろしくお願いします. Hi guys, Miyu here. Yeah, I've been graciously been let off of work to do some nerd stuff.
Oh, that's exactly what I just said. Imagine that.
I'm sorry, okay?
Oh, goodness. Listen, you know what? We're all tired from our own days in the office. I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay. So, pretty straightforward stuff here. It's largely the same things that happened with the previous streams, which I know that you were there for, at least partially. So, the first thing we want to go over is the D&D. How's it going? The first things we want to go over are like the 3 main things that you want your character to be able to do. Now, before the stream, we talked a little bit about a few different character ideas that you had, though I'm not entirely sure which one you're landing on. I'm pretty sure I know which one, but just in case, why don't you reiterate it for me?
Oh jeez, you can't put me on the spot like this. You're gonna have to. Oh no.
Okay. Let's let's.
You're gonna have to help me out here. You know, I have a wet paper towel in my head instead of a brain.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. This is deep Miyu lore. Only here on Kagerou's stream. Good gracious. First we had like a lore drop from Weeb, and now we have extra lore from you. This is a treasure trove. People should be archiving
Aren't I
this
so
stuff.
generous? Yeah.
Yeah.
So generous.
The voice volume is a little low, even through headset with max settings. Okay, give me a second. Okay, that should
Music
do
loud,
a little
quiet.
bit better. Music loud, you quiet. Let me turn down the music.
Hopefully I'm okay as well.
That's
I'll
better.
keep it here.
Okay, let me turn Miyu
Okay.
up.
Okay. I'll try not to talk too loud.
No, the whole point is that you need to be louder.
I know. I know that, but you know how I can get. I can blast everyone's eardrums
Imagine.
if I so please.
Okay, I'm gonna turn you up so everybody can hear you better. Okay, I'll talk quieter. Why? You nice Miyu small. Miyu is small.
Yeah.
This is accurate. Accurate to size. Fixed. Okay, excellent. So.
Accurate.
Okay. All right. So, what are the 3 things that you like really want to do while playing as your character in D&D? I think you mentioned before that you wanted to be sneaky, right?
Yes.
Barbarian.
I kind of want to do things undetected.
Oh my god. Imagine Miyu as a barbarian, the Dami Mommy.
Oh my goodness, no. A dummy
Your
mommy.
barbarian rage is just like, I'm gonna step on you. Ah! Oh my god. That would be cursed. Okay. So I think you determined that you wanted to be a rogue. You wanted to God. You wanted to be a thief, you wanted to be stealthy, And what was the third thing? I can't remember.
It was about how I like to just explore and look at towns.
You want,
and
yeah,
whatnot,
you
see
wanted to
what
be
they
like
have
an
to
urban
offer.
explorer. Okay. So the
Yes.
rogue class is going to be the one that you're looking at the most. Now, at first level, rogues don't get access to their subclasses. That isn't until third level. But we will go ahead and talk about their subclasses a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I know the one that you're going to want the most. But just in case, we're going to scroll all the way down. So rogues have access to the Thief, Assassin, Arcane Trickster, Inquisitive, Mastermind, Scout, and Swashbuckler archetypes. Thief and Assassin are pretty straightforward. Thief is all about stealing stuff and being like really, really good at kind of doing things unnoticed. Assassin is a one-shot wonder. At the start of combat, the very first thing they do is they hit. They have a very high chance to hit, and that hit is a guaranteed critical that does 1.5 million damage, and that's it. You basically blow your load instantly. Arcane Trickster is about using magic. You get a limited ability to use wizard spells. And you use magic to help you steal things. Like you get the Mage Hand spell that you can use for free instead of having to cast normally. And you can like pick people's pockets at a distance. It's pretty cool. Inquisitive is all about like kind of analyzing people. You get a huge bonus to things like insight, and you get the ability to like comprehend somebody's weakness that you can spread to enemies, or other allies, so that they get better bonuses to hit. The Mastermind is about helping allies kind of move around the battlefield. The Scout gets, well, it helps you move around the battlefield. It's a lot of staying hidden while keeping the lookout for enemies. And then the Swashbuckler is good at 1v1ing me, bro. Yeah, Swashbuckler is pretty popular, but based on what you want, you're probably looking at Thief, maybe Arcane Trickster or Assassin, and possibly Inquisitive. And there is a Psychic Rogue that very recently came out, though I don't have the rules for it yet. Yeah, Assassin's a bunch of fun. Especially if you like the sound that a dice makes. Assassin is basically one of the best classes ever. Because the big thing about rogues is that they get an ability called Sneak Attack. Basically, when the conditions are just so, you add extra damage to one attack that you make every round, which is convenient because you can only make one attack per round unless somebody helps you make additional ones. So I don't know if you're looking at the stream here, but if you
open up.
Oh, you don't have to, but if you use the compendium to look up rogue, you can see that there's a column called Sneak Attack. At first level, it's 1d6, which means that whenever you attack somebody and you fulfill the conditions for Sneak Attack, you add 1d6 to the total damage. And then at third level, it becomes 2d6, then fifth, it's 3d6, and so on and so on and so on. So once per turn, you just get these damage dice for free, as long as you fulfill the conditions. So you're all about opportunities. You want to be that bastard that nobody hits, but then as soon as they let their guard down, you pop out of the bush and, mess their day up. So that's how you operate in combat, and we can go over what the rest of the stuff means. So, since we have your 3 pillars gone, let's go ahead and open up your character sheet. And then get ready for the Charactermancer, and we'll go through it.
Okay. So should I open it up?
Yeah. You should see Miyu, use the
here.
Charactermancer.
Use the Charactermancer?
Yeah.
Roger. Got it.
Alright, sweet. So we already know what the Charactermancer does. And now we're going to move on to race. Now, you already had an idea of what your race was, but just so you're aware, I have a lot of races that you can choose from. Is Miyu new to D&D?
Not necessarily. I dabbled in it maybe 2 years ago, and that's it. So I might as well be new.
Yeah, before the stream and even before we set the date for it, she came to me with a few character ideas that were more or less pre-made, and we kind of talked about them and compared them to what she thought they were versus how D&D would rule they are, and so on. Man, I should have brought down some water. But
You probably should.
I know you wanted to be a Kinku.
Yes.
But if you have questions about other races, you can look down the drop-down box and we can talk through them in case one of them interests you.
Oh, I actually do have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
How would you make Miyu into a race?
How would I make
how would
Miyu
you
into
make
a race?
Miyu?
Okay,
Yes.
there are 2.5 ways to do it. One, there is the tabaxi. Tabaxi are actual cat people. Like, imagine Khajiit in Skyrim. That's basically what they are. Now, for the tabaxi also make for very, very good rogues. In fact, it's kind of a stereotype that you can assume every tabaxi you meet is a rogue. Because, Khajiit... Cat's crazy, yeah. Khajiit has done nothing wrong. Khajiit has not steal. Now, for the sake of our campaign, we can just say that you look like a human, but you have cat ears. The more appropriate way to go about that, however, is to take the shifter class. Now, shifters are kind of like, imagine like a werewolf, right? You're basically human, and then when the circumstances are right, you transform into like some kind of humanoid. There are sub-race options for shifters for cats. So you could be a human with cat ears, but then when you use your action to shift into, you would become kind of like a human, a werecat, basically. Now, it's not like silver bolts kill you faster or you have some uncontrollable rage under the moon or whatever. But those would be the 2 ways that you would want to go about it. Tabaxi is a little friendlier because it doesn't have like some kind of weird pseudo magical or cursed blood transformation. But if you did want to go with something like that, you can do that. Can you be a cat with human ears? You can, but Jesus Christ, how horrifying.
Oh, hey, Mike. Recognize that name? Yes. I think I will be sticking to Kenku then.
Kenku, very well, very well.
Yes.
Let's go to Kenku. Burb people. Must
people.
punch bird.
No!
Punch.
No!
Okay, so we already get the bonuses to dexterity and wisdom for being a Kenku. Your alignment is more or less up to you.
Ooh, interesting.
I will again ask that you do not be an evil character. All of the other ones are okay. But for the sake of alignment, I will do the same thing that I did for Weeb, though it's less important for you than it would be for him. To not think about these things in like stringent ways. Like, lawful good doesn't mean that you are the world's most law-abiding citizen, and by the same token, chaotic neutral doesn't mean that you're a huge jerk. It's more or less your perspective of the world. So, like, you mentioned wanting to be a thief. Why do you steal things?
So I can provide for myself as a merchant.
So you can provide for yourself.
Basically.
Is there some reason that you can't make that money on your own?
I'm lazy.
Okay. So you're definitely not a good-natured character. That that definitely throws out good. That's pretty funny. Okay. So you do so explicitly for your own sake. Is there anybody that you specifically don't steal from, or somebody that you specifically choose to target steal?
If they look easy to take from, then I will. If they look
easy.
as
Okay.
because yes.
All right. So we will put you down as neutral, though, and don't be evil. Are there circumstances in which you wouldn't steal from somebody?
If they were in a worse situation than I am.
Okay. Do you have any way of knowing that?
By their looks. If they look as if they're not as well off as I am, then I will not bother them.
Okay. Imagine you just spent your last copper piece on getting some nicer clothes so you can head to a meeting. Some bird boy comes up and stabs you in the calf and then takes what you have.
Mine now, bitch.
But,
Sorry.
Okay. Alright. Do you go out of your way to steal?
I try not to because I only do it when I have to.
You only do it when you have to. Okay. Thank God we don't have to make you an evil character.
I didn't want to be an evil character.
Well, you were very, very close to it. Literally everything you've said is pretty evil.
Oh, is it? Oh no.
Well, I mean, imagine you are the judge of what is a poor and not poor person, and then you steal from them based purely on your own judgment. No, I won't say chaotic neutral because she stated that she tries not to. It's only when she feels like she has to. So that doesn't really fall under chaos. Desperately trying to salvage. Yeah. No, we'll just stick with neutral. You serve yourself. You serve your own means for your own reasons. There isn't really a code about it. It's just something that you do because you feel like you need to, and it's a better alternative than working an honest life. So that fits neutral pretty well. All right. Expert forgery. You can duplicate other creatures' handwriting and craftwork. You have an advantage on all checks made to produce forgeries and duplicates of existing objects. This means that if ever you're writing out a letter or something, you have a massive bonus to copy handwriting that you've seen before. For example, we know that Whim is good at making things. Now, maybe he just sold something, and you decide it would be kind of fun and maybe pretty profitable to kind of go back and then write a contract on his behalf, giving you exclusive rights to some of the patent. So you would write in his handwriting this contract, and you'd get a pretty big bonus to convince people that it's legit. Now, of course, if Whim himself were to come upon this, he'd be like, I don't really remember writing this. Why is half of my money going to this weird bird person? I feel like something's a little wrong here. So, I mean, you exercise caution when exercise caution when using this ability, but it is an option you have. I mean, by the same token, if you guys are arguing over what a letter does or does not say, you are the go-to person to explicitly write out what it could say. Obviously, if you can't read or write in a particular language, these bonuses don't really apply. Bold of you to assume I'll have any money. The D&D gotcha holes. No, Whim, don't do it. I do have a D&D gotcha haul, by the way. Not actually joking.
No.
Not joking. So,
oh my.
Yeah, funny story. This character mancer, I'm really good at using it. I can whip up a character of almost any level within about 5 minutes. So, and I have a variant rule about hiring party members. So if you guys are going through or are about to hit like a dungeon, you might say, maybe we should go back and get a party member. I'll ask what kind of party member you want, be it like, you know, a frontline fighter, a mage, a healer, or a skill monkey. And then let me translate this for Whim. I have different banners that you can roll on. There's the skill banner, the tank banner, the healer banner, and the caster banner. And you can spend gold to roll on the gacha to see which character you get. I do have variant levels for them, so they are either one level below the party, the same level as the party, or one level above the party. So the 4-star, 5-star, or 6-star. Where am I going with sketching? Okay, so back to Miyu. Kagerou training. You are proficient in 2 of the following skills: acrobatics, deception, stealth, and sleight of hand. Now, I'll go ahead and give you the benefit of the doubt. Rogues will be able to take these skills as well, and they choose 4 of them. You're going to have a lot of skills that you are capable of doing. So don't feel like you're going to be locked into these.
Okay.
Sleight of hand is the skill you're going to be rolling to steal stuff. So you're probably going to want that one.
Okay. I will select that.
Stealth is pretty straightforward. Deception and acrobatics are also pretty straightforward. Now, deception, as I've mentioned before, is any obfuscation of the truth. So if somebody says, hey, did you just take that from me? You're going to need a deception to get out of that. Now, of course, if you're not spotted in the first place with a high stealth, then that's that. But you can't hide in plain sight unless you have an ability or spell that allows you to do so. So if you were to steal from somebody in broad daylight and they noticed you, you know.
Let's see. So, what if I were to choose deception?
I mean, that's up to you.
Oh,
that would
okay,
mean that you're better than most at kind of talking your way out of it. Mimicry.
I will choose deception then.
Okay. Mimicry. You can mimic sounds that you have heard, including voices. A creature that hears the sounds you make can tell if they are imitations with a successful insight check contested by your deception check. So it's good that you chose this, because if, for example, let's say in the earlier example of Wim's contract, right? If somebody goes and maybe they approach your caravan and Wim's not actually there, but they haven't opened the caravan, so they don't know that. And they're like, Master Wim, what do I do? The gacha halls are flooded. You might see this as an opportunity to get more money. So you might copy Wim's voice and be like, yes, invest in the 5-star banner and bring them to me. They would have to roll insight to determine if it's actually you or not. Sorry, these are terrible examples, but they're super funny to me.
No, it's good. It makes sense to me because it's not as technical.
All right. But basically, you have the ability of it's just like your writing ability. Any sound that you've heard, you can just replicate. There is a background feature that also allows you to do this, but it gives you a huge bonus to do so. So I would recommend taking that, but well, I guess we'll get there when we get there. Languages. You can read and write Orin and Common. Orin, by the way, is an elemental language. It is the language of air elementals, which might seem a little weird. But I mentioned to you before the stream that there is a part of your racial history that is wiped from your memory. You have no idea what it is. I know what it is, and I'm going to be changing it and tying it to your backstory. Spoiler alert, you're going to have to confront it at some point during the campaign.
Oh boy.
You can read and write Orin in Common. However, you can speak only by using mimicry. Now, for the sake of the campaign, I will say that you more or less know any word in, like, you know, the English language. So you don't have to, like, feel like you need to talk in kind of an obscure way. However, this is a great role-playing opportunity for you to say, you know, your character opens their mouth and in like a deep orcish voice they say, me hungry, me want, and then in a very light, delicate, feminine voice, cookies. Right? Because the way that you speak is by stringing together sounds that you have heard before. So you have full creative liberty as to what this sounds like. And it can be as obnoxious or as straightforward as you like it to be.
Let's see.
Ouch. I just punched my piano. Alright, so now we're going to move on to class. And we already basically have the idea that you're going to be a rogue. A rogue.
Okay.
So, Rogue gives you proficiency, basically the ability to use any simple weapon, as well as a hand crossbow, a longsword, a rapier, and a short sword. You can also use light armor, and you can choose 4 skills to be trained in. You already have Deception and Sleight of Hand.
So I get to choose.
Yep.
Okay. I think first one is gonna be stealth.
Good choice.
Can you define? Okay, this is probably stupid. How do you can you define intimidation? Like, how would that work if I were to choose that?
All right. So, whenever you're persuading somebody, you're trying to get them to believe you, and the thing that you're saying to get them to believe must be the truth as far as your character knows. If it is any kind of lie and you're aware that you're like missing part of the truth or that you're just deliberately altering the truth, it's deception. But intimidation is foregoing all of that. It's not about facts and logic. It's like, hey, you're gonna believe me or you're about to get hurt. You're basically trying to frighten them. Rather than be sympathetic or otherwise manipulate them into believing you, you're just gonna say like, I'm gonna cut your freaking ankles off if you don't cough up the coins.
See, would that clash with any of my other skill, or?
Well, it's hard. You can't. It's hard to use properly. For example, one of the situations in which it helps you to have intimidation is that if somebody catches you lying and maybe you're alone with them, you might be like, all right, listen here, chief, I'm not, I'm not about to like let this go. So you can either take your chances with my knife or we can pretend that you believe me. And that's where you would roll intimidation. Now, if they're not intimidated by you, they're going to say, oh, okay, guards, help me. But if they are intimidated by you, maybe you can get some more out of it, but you definitely lose the ability to, like, befriend them. Because once they're afraid of you, you basically have to either maintain that kind of mafia-like hold over them, or they're just going to not perceive you as somebody worth caring about.
I see.
So it's a great alternative. Well, I wouldn't say great, but it is an alternative to currying favor with somebody. But it's one of those, once you use it, that's kind of the relationship that you establish. And I mean, it kind of works the same way in real life, right? You know, if you catch somebody lying to you and then they're like, and then they threaten you, you're not going to be friends with that person anymore. I mean, sure, you might be threatened into doing what they want, but, you know, if they apologize to you later, it's not really going to mean anything, you know? So, something to keep in mind.
I see. I know, if I remember, can you explain acrobatics again? Because I feel like that's something I want to have.
So, acrobatics and athletics are pretty similar. It's basically how well you are from getting from point A to point B. Athletics is just your raw physical ability. It's how far you can jump, how high you can jump, how hard it is to climb up a rope, all that stuff. Acrobatics is your natural grace. If you're going from rooftop to rooftop, if
the backflip.
If you wanted to like just leap from rooftop to rooftop, that would be athletics. But if you were to say, can I like fall down on a flagpole and then use the momentum to jump to another nearby flagpole, it's the same overall distance, but you're doing it in a more dexterous way. That would be acrobatics.
I see.
Basically, it's the difference between parkour and just raw physical strength.
Okay, I think that I will choose acrobatics will be one of them.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, I punched my microphone.
Lovely.
Very angry about this bird.
Oh, no. Okay. What about insight? Because I'm kind of blanking here on what kind of skills to have.
Well, and that's okay. So insight is your natural, like, gut feeling about a person or situation. In any given circumstance, you can roll insight to kind of get the general vibe of what's happening. It's not perception because you don't physically see things. It's just kind of what you feel about the situation. It's most commonly used as a lie detector, Like if somebody is talking to you and you're like, hey, can I roll insight to see if this guy is lying to me? It would be your character consciously trying to think of if something feels wrong about the situation. You can also use it, the good gracious, I'm blanking on analogies. The example that I use the most is, if you're in a forest and you don't, and I haven't described like, the sounds that are being making. You might say like, hey, can I roll like insight to see if anything seems weird, if this might be a trap? There's a lot of vague circumstances that you can use insight in. Basically, the more specific you are and the higher you roll, the more specific of an answer you get.
I see.
It's just kind of a gut feeling about certain things.
Okay, if that's the case, then I will choose insight.
Okay.
And what do you think would be a good skill for me to have? Because I'm like I said, I'm like new to this, so I want to see what the DM has to say.
So perception is the most used skill in the game, just in general, because it's your character's ability to just see, hear, smell, taste, just understand and perceive the world around them. However, there is at least one party member who is good at perception. So as long as you're near them, most of the applications won't be too bad. But if you ever go off on your own, your ability to like perceive things is, well, based on your perception. By the same token, however, your ability to perceive things in a specific area, zone, or on a specific person is all based on investigation. So if, for example, you entered a jewelry shop and you said, Kagerou, I want to find the most expensive looking jewel in this shop. That's investigation, because you are specifically looking in that shop for the most expensive jewel. If you were to say, if we enter a new town and you say, Kagerou, I want to find where the nobles hang out, that would be perception, because you're just kind of walking around town, generally looking around. Another good one might be performance. As you do have the mimicry skill, you can pass yourself off as like kind of a wandering minstrel or kind of circus weirdo. So you could do like sock puppet shows or something, and that's like a quote unquote legal identity for you. And so you could roll performance to be like, oh, look, it's Mr. Sock Puppet, and all the kids really like you and stuff. And, you could use that to make people trust you a little bit more, because it's just, the thing that you do. Haha, funny bird, make funny noise. Persuasion also is pretty good. Generally because, unlike intimidation and deception, if you are legitimately telling the truth and people just don't believe you because you're a freaking thief, persuasion is the number one way to get them to continue liking you and convince them of what's going on. What else is there? I think the only one on this list that you really can't make a lot of use of is athletics. There are very few circumstances in which it's useful, but those circumstances are very important, such like trying to prevent yourself from drowning or falling off of a very steep cliff. Other than that, I don't see you using athletics very much. All of the other ones, however, have a ton of applications. It's just depending on what you want to do most.
I think I will go with persuasion.
Persuasion, okay. VC came trickling in. Oh, good. All right, so you are proficient with thieves' tools. As I've described to Wim before, these are not just tools to unlock things. It's more or less just a bunch of tools to do various things. They generally include like a crowbar, a bunch of keys, some wire shims, anything that allows you to get into an area that you shouldn't be. Your thieves' tools probably has. Now we get to the bread and butter of out-of-combat rogues. Expertise. So expertise is where you pick two skills that you're trained in to be very good in. Like, extremely good in. Every character in D&D 5th edition has what's called a proficiency bonus. And right now it's 2. That means whenever you're trained or otherwise proficient in a skill or ability, you add your ability modifier. So for something like sleight of hand, it's dexterity. So it'd be your dexterity modifier plus your proficiency bonus to get the total result. So in this case, if your dexterity is, we'll say 16 if you take average, or sorry, 18 if you take average, that would give you a +4. So it would be 4 + 2. So you'd have a total of +6. But if you get expertise, you double your proficiency bonus. So that means it would be a +4 instead of a +2. So the shut up, Drake. This is her character. Now, most commonly, yes, rogues will choose sleight of hand and stealth to be their 2 expertise skills. Because you want to be very good at stealing things, you want to be very good at sneaking. However, because you are a Kenku, if you want to focus more on being not necessarily manipulative, but if you wanted to focus more on like your mimicry ability, you'd want to choose something like deception.
I see.
If that makes sense. But basically, when it comes to expertise skills, nobody will ever be better than you at these skills. Like, ever. Because you are just that good at it.
I think I'm gonna go with the safe option and choose sleight of hand and stealth.
Okay. Yeah, pretty good options. And I'm sorry, Drake.
It's the safe options.
Yeah, it is the safe options, and based on what you've told me about your character, it does fit. But I did want to, give the options for things like deception, persuasion, or even your thieves' tools, which is another good option. All right, thieves' cant. I spoke to this with Wim and to a lesser extent with Weeb. Thieves' cant is how rogues communicate with each other and like being like, hey, we're gonna go, do some stuff. It's basically like the secret password. It's a series of hand gestures and kind of grunts and sounds that most normal people can't really make any sense of. Now, what's especially funny is as a Kenku, if you watched and heard somebody speak in Thieves' Cant, you could probably learn it faster than anybody else. But as a rogue, you know it automatically. And what's especially fun with you is that you can pass it off as just you being a Kenku. Because everybody knows that you make noises that you've heard before. So you can do a lot of pretty clever things by disguising the things that you say. If you were to meet another rogue that knows Thieves' Cant, Miyu's Thieves' Cant should be more like, whispery. Yeah. I mean, you could do that, but what's fun is that unlike a lot of rogues, you can speak Thieves' Cant in essentially broad daylight and nobody would really think about it because you're a Kenku. You're just making random noises.
So if say I'm like surrounded, like I'm like with another rogue and we're looking at this guy and I say, hey, spit, and like I'm just like, they would just think like this rogue would understand me. I'm saying like,
the other rogue would understand you. They might kind of start sweating because it'd be like an Among Us with the 2 imposters, and one of them would be like, "Hey, you want to stab this guy?" Like the other guy would be like, "What the heck? Aren't you gonna alert this crewman?" But the guy that like you're looking at might look at you funny and be like, "Hey, what the heck is your problem? You're trying to make fun of me?" But yeah. So you have a pretty unique ability to use Thieves' Cant basically anywhere, and a lot of people, if they don't understand Thieves' Cant, wouldn't really think that hard about it. Now I say that, but anybody who understands that Thieves' Cant is a thing that you can speak, they might look at you a little funny. A good example of Thieves' Cant being written is like, if you were to pass down an alleyway and see that like every third brick has a mark on it, that would count as Thieves' Cant. The average person wouldn't be able to make sense of that, but you would understand that maybe a rogue is nearby, or like this is typically a place where rogues gather. It's a lot of very subtle markings. So, if you see something and you're like, oh, the Rogues Guild is nearby, people with a pretty good perception or insight might be able to like piece together that you're a rogue. And so they might they might have a better chance to understand if you're speaking Thieves' Cant in broad daylight.
I see.
So things to be a little careful of. Sneak attack we already talked about. The TLDR of how sneak attack works is if you have advantage on a roll, or on an attack roll, you can add your sneak attack die to the damage if you hit. If you don't have advantage, but an enemy of the enemy you're targeting is nearby, like in melee range of them, you get your sneak attack anyway. What this means is that you can stay at a distance while, say, somebody like Weeb is holding down the fort and, like, you know, holding the line, as it were. Because you can help, you basically use the distraction that he's making to get an opportunistic attack, if that makes sense. Okay, sick. So now we go on to ability scores. Like everybody else, I will give you the option to roll twice. And if they're really bad, I'll roll for you. And if they're still garbage, you can take average.
Okay. So this is where I get to roll dice, huh?
Well, you're going to click the roll 46 drop lowest.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Still rolling dice. So what should I roll? Great
Well,
DM.
Just click the button.
Oh. Wait, I don't. But what? Like what? Like what kind of dice? I'm asking. It's just nothing for me to click here.
What? Okay. Hold on.
It just says score method.
Yeah. So hit the drop down box.
Oh, roll for stats.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Roll. Okay, let's roll.
All right. So this is well and above average. You have 2 plus 2s, 1 plus 2.5, 2 plus 0s, and 1 minus 1. So this is above average. It's not superb, but it's pretty good.
Let's see.
So go ahead and roll again.
Okay.
This is pretty good.
This is pretty good?
This is pretty good. So you have a plus 2, a plus 1, a plus 0, 2 plus 3s, and then a minus 2. If I'm reading, yeah.
So should I stick with this then, or?
Well, that's up to you. For rogues, the one score that you need the most is dexterity. Which if you put one of those 16s in your dexterity, that would make it an 18, which is a total of plus 4. That is the stat that you need the most. It determines your roll to attack. It determines all of your important skills. It determines your damage rolls. It's very important for you. It's the only attribute that you definitely need to be effective. Everything else is kind of icing on the cake.
Okay.
So your second grouping here is a pretty solid set of stats. It's not as insane as Whim, but it's better than Weeb's. So my recommendation is to put 116 into Weeb's destroyed. Yeah, 116 into dexterity.
Okay.
The other 16 into charisma. And the reason I say that is that you have...
Wait, how do I...
Okay.
How do I do this?
So there's going to be a bunch of gray boxes, right?
I see.
Yeah, and you click on the boxes to use that score.
I clicked on it.
Yeah. So then it highlights into red. That means you've used that score for that attribute.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So the reason that I say your other 16 in charisma is that you have your mimicry skill, and you're trained in deception and persuasion. All of those are based on your charisma. So in the event that you do get caught, having a good charisma is a good way to argue yourself out. Whim did score the highest, though he's a little more... the only reason he scored the highest... Actually, if Miyu didn't have a 7, she would have scored the highest.
Interesting.
But Whim doesn't have any negative attributes, and neither does Weeb, but Miyu has the highest bonuses. I mean, again, if it weren't for that 7, which I think that's pretty funny, personally, I would then recommend that the 15 go into Wisdom. Because Wisdom is for things like Insight, which you're also trained in. It's natural for Perception. And you know, it's just your gut feelings about things. Then you have a 13, 11, and 7. So let's talk about averages. The average human, like commoner, has a 10 in everything. All of their attributes, all of their skills, everything is a 10. So that means your 11 isn't bad. It's like barely above average. So if you were to put your 11 in intelligence, strength, or constitution, you're just slightly better than the average person. Similarly, that 7 is a bit below average. If you were to put the 7 in, say, strength, for instance, you'd have about the same strength as like a teenager.
Oh, perfect.
Right. So wherever you want to put that 7 is all right. I would recommend that your character have like some kind of explanation as to how that looks. Like if you were to put the 7 into constitution, maybe you're just particularly sickly. You're very underfed or kind of emaciated. Put the 7 in dex. God, Whim, shut up. Oh my god. Jesus.
Could you explain more about if I put 7 into constitution?
So
like what
that would
what
mean
could
that,
look like?
well, what it does mechanically is that you would get a very little amount of HP per level. You would be very easy to take down if you got hit. I see. Yeah.
What about into intelligence? Like if I've just like fucking
I
dumb or
wouldn't
something?
say that you're a glue sniffer, but you'd be pretty close. It's funny because you would have like a decently high wisdom. So you have a lot of street smarts, but maybe just like logical things don't make a lot of sense to you. Like, you know, things like mathematics or like how high society works. You don't really know the history of the world. You don't really care.
It's a little bit too close to home.
Well, you would basically be like a dropout. Because again, you have a wisdom. You're good at surviving. You know, it's not like you don't know what food is. And you understand how certain things work. You're good at, like, you're actually pretty damn good. Like a 16 is great. To put it a little into perspective, a score above 20 is actually godlike. Your dexterity of 18 is like Olympic tier.
I see.
Put the 7 in int so you can become a catgirl rogue that gets distracted by laser pointers. Well, if you also had a low wisdom, that would make sense, but probably not.
I think I may put the 7 into intelligence just because that is how I act currently.
Okay. So, again, this doesn't mean that you eat crayons, but you're just
close.
You know, when it comes to things about like religion, specifically investigating things, you don't really care a lot about that stuff. It just kind of goes right over your head because you only focus on the you that's right here and right now. Everything else is something that you can deal with later.
Okay, then yeah, I will keep that there.
Right, and the reason I want to hammer that home is that, you know, a lot of people are just like, haha, you have a -2 in intelligence. That means that you can't tell the difference between blue and a sword. Like, that's not what that means. But again, if you had a low intelligence and a low wisdom, then yeah, you'd be, you know, I would ask what color of Crayola you want. So constitution is again kind of your like ability to resist going down. It's your total HP. It's like it's kind of your general resilience and hardiness. A high constitution gives you a good amount of HP. It allows you to resist like being poisoned or diseased as easily. If you're worried about getting hit, having a good constitution is a good thing. And strength is how much you can carry, how hard you can stab things, but that doesn't really matter for you because you have a high dexterity. Strength is your most useless stat. The only thing it helps you do is carry more things.
Let's see. In that case, I think I'll do 11 into strength, and I'll do constitution. I'll do 13 into constitution.
All right. That is a solid stat line. Okay. Now, background. The things that your character was doing, more or less, before the start of the campaign. Now, there's a few of them that I think are more fitting for you than not. The first one I'd like to bring up is Charlatan. Charlatan gives you proficiency in Deception and Sleight of Hand, which you already have proficiency in, which means that you can choose 2 different skills to be good at. And you can keep the expertise, that's fine too. It also gives you the abilities, it also gives you proficiencies in the Disguise and Forgery kit. Now, what's important here is that while you're already good at forgery, having the kit means that you would have like all the inks that you would need, you would have different kinds of paper, different ways of writing, all of that stuff. And then disguise is self-explanatory. But the feature that it gives is that you have a second identity that most people know you as. You know, I made the mention that maybe you're like a traveling sock puppet merchant or something, and you put on shows. If you were a charlatan, that would be what the average person knows you as. And you have actual documents, you have legal identities, you know, basically up until you get into like serious government levels of scrutiny, nobody can tell the difference between who you are and who you're pretending to be. Additionally, you can forge documents, including official papers and personal letters, as long as you have seen an example of the handwriting. So, like, this second part, you can already do, but, I mean, it's the first part of this that matters. Another option is the criminal, because, well, you are a criminal. Gives you deception and stealth, thieves tools, which you already have, as well as 1 additional set of things to do. And then the feature is that you have a buddy who's kind of in on it, you know, somebody that maybe you've survived with, or someone that you do crime alongside. They're your buddy. You have kind of a way to contact them pretty much no matter what. Maybe they're a fellow rogue, maybe they're a bard that covers for you a lot, whatever the case may be. And you kind of use them, as well as basically the Thieves Guild as a whole, to sort of have a way in, no matter where you're at. As far as background features go, this might be the most useful to you, because it means if a city is big enough, you probably have somebody who you can trust. The only other one I would recommend to you is the urchin background. Because their feature kind of goes into the city exploration. Basically, the idea is that you've been on the streets for so long that you just understand how to get from place to place when within a city. Whenever you guys are in like a town or a city, you can move around it twice as fast as anybody else could. Because you just understand how to navigate alleyways and sewers and things like that.
I see. Okay. It might go with Charlatan.
Charlatan, all right. One of my favorites. Especially if you later get the actor feat, which it also has 2 abilities. One of them is something that you can already do, where if you've heard someone's voice for at least a minute, you can replicate it perfectly. But the other thing Charlatan actor allows you to do is to throw your voice, which can be very, very powerful considering what you're capable of doing. You know, if you're in kind of a dark alleyway and somebody maybe is threatening you, like they're about to steal from you and they're intimidating you, you could potentially throw your voice to make it sound like a guard is just around the corner. And since your deception is so good, you'd probably fool more than the average person. But so charlatan I think is good. So what's your scam? What's the thing that you do?
Let me take a look.
I guess since the stream can't see it.
Yes.
You cheat at games involving chance. You shave coins or forge documents. You insinuate yourself into people's lives to prey on their weaknesses and secure their fortunes. You put on new identities like clothes. You run sleight of hand cons in street corners. Or you convince people that worthless junk is hard-earned money.
Do this. I run sleight of hand cons on street corners.
Okay. So, how do you want to describe that? Like, what kind of cons are you talking about? Is it like, you know, kind of fake magic tricks, like watch, I'll make this coin disappear, or you know, or is it more of a hey, I'll tell your fortune, you know, and they pay some amount of gold to you, and then you just kind of rattle on some vague nonsense?
Well, if say I were to go down that route and do something like fortunes, would my wisdom come into handy for that, or was it my deception?
Well, your deception, definitely. Your deception is like the thing to do. Your wisdom, probably not. I would probably say that you would use your wisdom to kind of like roll insight, or maybe have a passive insight to kind of see if they're going along with it, or maybe if they're a little skeptical. Like that would help you. But you being a wise person doesn't really come into play there. Because these are just cons. And it's pretty normal for rogues, or really anybody in this business, to never do the same con too closely together. So, like, you know, if you did the whole fortune thing once, maybe the next day or even a few hours from then, maybe you help somebody put on like a magic show and you collect donations, but the donations don't actually go to the performer, you know?
I see.
So be thinking of stuff like that, because whenever you're in town and there's like an amount of downtime, like, you know, I was talking to Wim about, like, if he spends multiple hours crafting something and I go to you like, all right, Miyu, well, what do you want to do when you're in town? This is something that you'd probably be doing. So just kind of have it in the back of your head of more or less what you want to do, how you would do it, and stuff like that. Because we could just say, oh yeah, you run some cons and you get like 5 gold out of it. Or, you know, we can actually make a scene out of it and, you know, see if you get anything better out of it. So
I think I might go with that then. Or
do
sorry,
what?
I cut you off there. No, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna move on to the traits and stuff, but if you want to look into a different scam, yeah.
Oh no. I think I will stick with sleight of hand.
Nice. All right, so before we move on, let's go back to your race.
My race? So I can just click on it, I won't lose any progress?
Yes.
Got it.
Your Kenku training gave you sleight of hand and deception, but your background, charlatan, already gives you these. So why don't you go ahead and choose 2 different skills. Now here's where the problem lies. Really, what I would think you would do is choose like stealth and deception. Oh, I guess you can't because you're
I can't.
you have too many skills. All right, so let's go ahead and go to your class.
Okay.
You basically need to choose 2 different ones.
In my expertise or my skill proficiencies?
Your skill proficiencies. You don't need to touch that expertise.
Okay.
So I would recommend you replace stealth with like performance, because again, if you're going to be rolling cons, you know, you could roll performance in order to actually pull it off.
Okay, I'll do that.
And then maybe instead of acrobatics, you take perception.
Sure. Okay. My life is in your hands, DM.
Well, I would say either perception, intimidation. Yeah,
Ooh.
perception or intimidation.
If I were to choose intimidation, let's say like going back to my street cons,
Yeah.
I'd be able to intimidate someone into partaking in my cons, would they?
Well, kind of. You could do that, but again, you know, if somebody's spooked of you, they might not want to play along. Now, if you involve somebody in your cons and they realize that you're running a con, then you could try and like roll deception to just be like, no, it's a coincidence. Or if they just straight up don't believe you, then you could pull out the knife and be like, delete this.
I see.
So that would be a use of intimidation. Again, whenever the thing about deception and persuasion is that you don't really influence somebody's attitude unless you really fail. But with intimidation, succeeding or failing changes their attitude. So if you succeed at bullying someone into it, yeah, they'll play along, but good luck ever trying to get to them again.
I see. In that case, I think I might just do perception.
Perception, okay. So now we're going to go back to race. And you're going to take acrobatics and stealth. So that
I'll
way,
make those my proficiencies.
right. So that way, the deception and sleight of hand are given to you by your background. So right now you have a total of 8 skills, 2 of which you're exceptionally good at. You have a lot of skills.
I'm just that cool.
Yeah, and rogues are the big skill bot, which means that your combat effectiveness probably isn't going to be as good as the other party members, but outside of combat, you have the most agency. Like, because you have so many skill proficiencies, you and Wim are basically like the people that have a lot of options outside of combat. So once your character is built, we can kind of go over this again, but I highly recommend you like think of things to do again outside of combat, because that's really where you shine.
I see.
So we're gonna go on to the personality traits, ideal, bond, and flaw. I don't so much care about the personality traits, as I've stated before. The last 3 are very important, and if you want to choose a different one, like one that's not on those lists, it's okay that we make new ones. Just let me know.
Okay, so I'm choosing personality traits.
Yep, you choose 2 of those, then 1 of each of the others.
I see. Okay. Oh my god, I gotta read. Or should I just deal with this later and then do these bottom 3?
That much is up to you. It doesn't matter what order we do these, but I do recommend getting all of them done while we're here. Since
flattery is my preferred trick for getting what I want. What do you think? You think that would fit?
I think that would fit if you think yourself to be rolling a lot of persuasion or deception, because you want people to you want people to think that they are empowered by you having you around. Like maybe one of your cons is you're pretending to be a servant to like a noble. And you kiss up to them a lot. You kind of degrade yourself, but ultimately you make them feel so good and egotistical that like maybe you're walking around town and you're like, oh, you know, look, my lord, you see there is some excellent food of the highest quality, but and so he goes to buy it, but then you're just like, oh, but I wouldn't want to make you be entreated to the common folks' food. Surely I could test if it was poisoned, since you're of somebody of such significance. You basically inflate their ego so much that they're just like, well, yeah, of course. Why would I ever think otherwise? And then you get a free meal out of it, you know.
I see.
So that would be a way that you could do something like that. Sarcasm and insults is my favorite whenever I take charlatan. I actually play a maid character who is a mixture of a rogue and a bard, and their whole thing is that they have every skill that they can do. They are good at everything. And so whenever the party is like, man, I wish we could do this thing, you know, I always have this quip of like, oh yes, if only there was anybody that we knew that could do this thing. Shame. Because it's obvious that I can do it. Yeah.
I think I keep multiple holy symbols on me and invoke whatever deity I might come useful in me at any given moment. What do you think?
That's a pretty funny one.
I think this one is pretty funny because I do something similar like this IRL.
Right. Now, something to note is that while this would make sense for you to have, King Weave is like an actual religious force. So while he probably won't care for the vast majority, you could probably convince him that you're just very tolerant of faiths and you don't want to offend anybody, which is why you keep all of these around. It's a total lie, but you could do that. But if he were to find out the truth, or if you were to invoke his religion without really thinking about it, you know, that might be a moment of party drama.
See. Okay, I know for sure I pocket anything that I see might have
that
some
might
value.
have some value,
like
right? Because
that's like ooh, shiny object. I will take this.
Right.
God, I don't know what the other one is. What do you think for the second one?
Well, that depends on how you want to go about things.
Oop.
So like, when you think about your cons, right? Or like the way that you steal from people, how do you go about doing it? Are you just really sneaky about it? Do you maybe try and warm up to people? Do you try and threaten them out of it? Or do you try and convince them that that your way of doing things is the right way?
Sneaky about it.
You want to be sneaky about it. Okay.
I invoke King's religion. You what?
You what? So probably they keep multiple holy symbols. Because it's just kind of a reaction of like, you know, if somebody's like, wait, what are you taking donations for? You might just whip out a holy symbol real quick and just be like, oh, I'm part of, you know, my religious community where we're struggling really hard. Again, total BS. But you have the ability to mimic the sounds that people would make, or even write an official document about a fake religion that doesn't exist, that you're a priest of, right? You can do that. In fact, your alternate identity might be, again, a priest, or I guess a priestess, of a religion that isn't real. But you're just so good at lying, and your documents seem so legit that most people just be like, oh, it's a small kind of local thing.
I see. Okay, then I will keep those two.
You know, since you're trained in both performance and deception, one of your cons could be you do a church. Like, you know, you gather up a group of people and then you do like a church service and you take tithes. And that's how you get money. Because everybody's like, oh, I'm donating to a small and local church that helps out the local orphanage. How nice.
Oh.
And you just pocket everything. Oh wait, this is real life.
Oh no!
Oh man, that's too close. All right,
it's a little too close.
Your ideal. What drives you to do the things that you do?
I like opened it, and the first thing I saw was independence. And I was
well,
like,
it's pretty good. However, fairness mentions something that you told me earlier.
Oh, that is true.
Charity is definitely not the case. Creativity could be the case. Friendship, I don't know if I would put that for you. Aspiration, however, aspiration can go a long way. I'm determined to make something of myself. Now, you mentioned that you steal because it's just a convenient way to make money. But maybe because this is your ideal, like the reason you started adventuring, maybe one day you just woke up and you're like, holy crap, I'm like this year, I'm this old already, and, you know, I don't want to die just being a street urchin my whole life, you know? So maybe you just up and decide that you're gonna maybe travel the world and see how far you can take your cons, or maybe you think you're so good at what you do that you can become like a legendary bandit or something.
Let's see. I think I may just go with fairness.
Fairness, okay. All right, your bond, the thing that kind of makes you stay up at night, something you're a little paranoid about.
Let's see. This last one kind of is interesting. I swindled and ruined a person who didn't deserve it. Because I feel like that's
Yeah, I mean that would be super cool. Now, what's cool about a bond is that all of these are story hooks for me, the GM. Regardless of whenever you guys choose these, I can look at your character sheet and be like, this would be a good time for this to come up. So, you know, if you were to choose this, maybe near the start of the campaign, there's rumors about somebody who died because they were framed for running this con, and it's like such a shame because, you know, the guy was like otherwise such a good dude, but, you know, they discovered that he was hiding orphans in his basement. You know, what a shame. But you know that you did that and you set him up, and you might learn over the course of the campaign like who this person was, or maybe you end up meeting them and they recognize you.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I think I like this one. I think
okay.
I'll choose this.
And then the flaw.
Always in debt. Feel like that is.
See,
oh no, there's quite a.
There's a lot of these that are pretty good. I recommend against the very last one though. The reason is because I don't really want to encourage a kind of behavior where, like, you know, if a combat is really, really tough, it would be in character for you to just leave the party, but it would be such a lame way to have a TPK.
I don't think I'll do that then. This one here, I'm too greedy for my own good. Is this like specific to gambling, or can it be like to
basically it would be like, you know, say somebody's like, hey man, I got a job for you, you're just like, all right, whatever, it pays 100 gold, all right. Like as soon as
like it's $20, I'm not getting $20
like as soon as somebody gives like names, or you feel like there's an amount of money at stake that's like decently significant, whatever the consequences or risks are, you can deal with that when you deal with them.
I see. Then if that's the case, then I will choose that.
Alrighty. So now we'll go on to equipment, which this is pretty easy. You're going to go ahead and choose your class equipment.
Class equipment. Okay.
So you already start with leather armor, 2 daggers, and a set of thieves' tools. So now we need to decide if you want a rapier or a short sword.
Probably
Rapiers,
a short sword. Oh, sorry.
Well, rapiers hit a little harder, but you can't dual wield them with something. Actually, I think you can dual wield them with something else. They tend to hit a little harder, but short swords are easier to use with knives. So it's if you want to deal more upfront damage or potentially have backups if you throw your daggers.
Probably a short sword then, just in case, like kind of like it's my last kind of resort kind of thing.
Yeah. A short bow that comes with a quiver and 20 arrows, or another short sword.
Would I be able to duel these short swords?
Yeah.
So that I have 2 backups, is what you're saying.
Well, right. But remember, this kind of, you wouldn't really have a ranged option.
I see.
Which, that's okay. You can throw daggers. And then you'd have to go pick them up afterwards. But, I mean, you know, it would be a shame if there's like a large chasm and you've thrown your 2 daggers and you're like, okay, now the only
They're
way
gone.
to do this is to run really fast.
I see.
And you can always
in that
pick
case, I
up
think I
it.
might.
You can pick up a ranged option later.
I see.
Also, I apologize for the background noise. Roommates are doing
Oh
laundry.
no, it's okay. It's okay. I figured. I remember you mentioning something about how arrows work when you are the
Right.
GM.
So, I will
Can you run that
always
by me?
yes, I will always let you pick up half plus a rolled amount of spent ammunition. So if you shoot 10 arrows, you automatically get 5 back, and then you would roll to see how many extra you get back. So it is possible that you get all of your spent ammunition back. However, it's equally possible that you don't get any extra back, because either they're destroyed or they're like too deep in someone's armor, what have you.
I see. I think I'll go with the short bow.
The short bow, quiver, and 20 arrows. Now, these packs are full of equipment, and we can go ahead and go through what the equipment is. So we'll start with the burglar's pack. The burglar's pack contains a backpack, 100 ball bearings, some string, 5 candles, a crowbar, hammer, 5 pitons, a hood and lantern, a flask of oil, 2 of them, 5 rations, a tinderbox, water skin, and some hempen rope.
That sounds like I have some of those already in my tools, or is that is that separate?
They are separate. Well, kind of. I mean, if something happens to where maybe somebody steals your thieves' tools, or you don't want people to know that you have thieves' tools, having these like in a pack is a little more reasonable. So like, for example, a crowbar, yeah, is generally used to get into something. But if you guys are like, you know, going through a dungeon and you come across a locked chest, pulling out a crowbar isn't a strange thing. It's pretty standard for adventurers to have ways to get into locked rooms and buildings and stuff. Basically, I guess what I'm getting at is, as a rogue, everybody is super sus of you. Because rogues, well, they steal things and they kill people. And unsurprisingly, you are exactly that stereotype. You're the reason people are nervous about rogues. So
Awesome.
It is usually in your best interest to like not make it obvious that you're a rogue, even to your party. Which I don't control the morals of the party. If somebody like Whim or Weeb like sees you stealing things, or they kind of get the gist of how your cons work, if they come up to confront you about it, that's between you guys, you know. Some of them,
Drama.
right? And I do love in-character drama. Out-of-character drama, I have far less patience for. But that's why the GM serves as a mediator. So, generally speaking, having these items would not be considered strange. How good you are at using them might make people lift their eyebrows a little bit, but you know, can't be wrong to be a handyman.
I see.
What's another
see.
option? Dungeoneer's pack.
You're gonna have to. Hello.
Hello.
You're gonna have to take that from the beginning because you just cut out.
That's okay. Because I haven't started listing off the next pack.
Oh, that's strange. It sounds like you cut out.
So,
Anyways.
the Dungeoneer's pack comes with a backpack, crowbar, hammer, 10 pitons, 10 torches, a tinderbox, 10 rations, water skin, and some hempen rope. A lot of this is the same stuff as the burglar's pack, except it doesn't have 100 ball bearings, some string, and candles. Because, again, it's not strange for adventurers to have this stuff.
Uh-huh.
By the way, you know what a piton is, right?
I do not.
Okay. They're basically flat nails that you use once.
Okay. Can
Now-
you give me a scenario where I could use this?
Well, you can, if you set them up correctly, you can use them as very temporary, like, caltrops. Like, you could basically lay them down in front of a crowded walkway, and if people aren't wearing, like, boots or, like, proper shoes, they'll stab themselves in the foot.
Ow.
Yeah, it hurts. My maid character uses pittons as ammunition. I roll sleight of hand to fling them because they deal 1 damage. You don't roll anything. But I can be in combat without people thinking that I'm a threat because I have such high sleight of hand that I fling these little spikes and they kind of hit people and they're like, oh, what the hell was that? The way you're supposed to use them is that if you were building a ladder, you would get some wood, you know, chop it up, and then you could nail the pieces together with hammers and pittons.
See.
That's how you're supposed to use them. Similarly, going back to the burglar's pit, 100 ball bearings, if you scattered them behind you, people would have to roll against a certain DC to not slip and fall. It's basically a bag of marbles.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the string and candles from the burglar's pack, you know, if you break into somebody's house and you don't want to turn on any lights, having a small candle might allow you to see the things that you need to see without, you know, alerting anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last thing that you can possibly get is an explorer's pack, which has a backpack, a bedroll, a mess kit, tinderbox, 10 torches, 10 rations, water skin, and some rope. A mess kit, of course, being basically like kind of one of those like fold out lunch boxes that allows you to like cook on the go.
I see.
But you're not really much of a chef.
Mm-hmm.
So it is up to you which one of these you choose.
I think I will choose the burglar's pack.
All right, that is a good choice. Oops. Burglar's pack. Okay, and then from Charlatan, you gained a disguise kit, a belt pouch, and some nice clothes. You also get to choose one of the following: a set of stoppered bottles filled with colored liquid, which is 10, a set of weighted dice, a set of marked cards, or a signet ring, basically a family crest of an imaginary duke.
And I could use these in my cons, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's kind of the intention.
I see. I think I might choose a deck of marked cards.
Okay. Now, typically, these are like playing cards, but since yours are marked, you know. So basically, if you ever choose to go gambling, I'll ask if you want to play fair or not. If you play fair, then I'll have you roll, you know, a series of skill rolls against the enemy. But if you choose to use your set of marked cards, you can roll with advantage. So you would roll twice on every skill and take the higher result. But then your enemies have a chance to know that the deck is marked. If that makes sense.
It does, it does.
Okay. Sick. Alright. Spells, you don't get any. Feats, you don't get any. Bio. You can fill all of this stuff in as you please.
So this will be me, or so I play as Miyu. This is Miyu.
Well,
or can I not make it Miyu? Or can I make it like?
It's whatever you want the character to be. If that makes sense.
We'll go with the good old name, the original name.
Yeah. Now, what I was gonna say is that Kenku are typically ravens. However, I will not be upset if you choose a different species of bird.
So I can make this like a budgie if I so desperately wanted.
Yeah. I have seen parrot Kenku, which are pretty funny. Cockatiels that just yell all the time. I mean, honestly, whatever bird you want to be is up to you.
I see.
As for age, height, weight, eyes, hair, all of that, very superficial. It is entirely up to you how you want to do that, and otherwise your character is done.
Epic.
And then, so once you get the character done, which even if you don't fill in all of that stuff, there's actually a place on your character sheet to fill it in anyways. So if you want to skip past it now to just have your character be made, that is up to you.
Yeah, I think I'll just do that. Okay.
All right, let's see how it goes. Oh.
So what
go
do I
ahead.
do on my end? Do I just apply changes?
Yes.
Bing. And that looks done.
Wait a second.
Oh, it looks done.
Let me... Oh. Hold on. I'm gonna look at your sheet a little bit.
Go for it.
Okay. It was... What the heck? Alright, I had to fix something real quick. Okay, so, let me open this up over here. Oh. There we go. Alright. So, let's look at your character sheet real quick. Okay, so, you see your long list of skills?
Yes, I do.
So everything with a check mark by it is what you are trained in.
I see.
Which is a good amount of stuff. Oh, I was going to see something. Okay, so the way that all of this stuff is calculated, you can just like click on one of these skills and it'll roll everything for you with all of the necessary stuff.
Uh-huh.
So go ahead and click on stealth for me.
Oh goodness, the text is so tiny. There it is. Stealth.
Okay. Oh wow. All right. So if you see in the chat box here, it says that you rolled 2 11s, which is kind of funny. But if you hover over the number, you can see the formula. So it rolled 1d20 plus 2, which is your proficiency, plus 6, which is all of your other modifiers. So on the dice, you got a 3, but plus 2 plus 6 equaled it out to 11. So that means you would have to roll a natural 1 to get below average for your stealth and sleight of hand.
I see. So that's like...
So even if you roll as worse as you possibly could, you're basically as good at hiding and being... sneaky with your hands as the average commoner. So make sure that you... I remember the thing I was going to go over. So as a rogue, I mentioned that, you shine the most outside of combat. So make sure that you're getting, like, a good amount of investment from these skills, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Like, don't be afraid to use your skills or even ask like, hey, can I use this skill to do this? Unfortunately, in combat, every skill has a distinctive way that it is or is not used. But more or less, if you wanted to steal something, I'll say, you can roll sleight of hand or stealth, for instance. If you're in the middle of broad daylight and you want to get away from somebody, rolling stealth is kind of weird because you can't throw a sheet over yourself and just say, yep, I'm hiding. But if you were to say, I'd like to disappear into the crowd, that would be a legitimate strategy in which you can roll stealth, because you're more or less putting your hood up and kind of lowering your head, Assassin's Creed style. and things like that. So, oh yeah, and your sneak attack. So, whenever you roll one of your attacks, which you can click on any one of these. I don't know why the quiver is put here instead of the short bow. I'll fix that later. In fact, short bow just isn't here. What the heck? Okay, 1 second. Let me go get that for you. All right, we did it. Oh, what? It was there. Sorry, I'm stupid.
That's okay.
I just don't know why that quiver is there. All right. Anyhow, so click on one of the weapons in there, be it the short sword, the dagger, or the short bow.
Short sword.
Okay, so go ahead and click on it.
I did. Clicked on it, and it's like giving me an option to like edit it or something.
Oh no. Okay, so scroll up, and you'll see a box called attacks and spellcasting.
Oh,
it's above all of your items.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah. Click on it there. So that's how you roll the hit. Now, if you go to the chat box where it says short sword, if you hover over it, you'll see that it'll be red. So go ahead and click on the name short sword in the chat box. And that's how you roll damage. Now, on your sheet, you'll see something labeled sneak attack. And if you click on it, it'll check the box next to it.
Sneak attack.
So once it's checked, go ahead and click on the name short sword again in the chat box. Oh,
wait. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, it's there. Okay.
Yeah, once the... Well...
Is it like this? Or...
Oh, no. Once the box is checked, go ahead and roll to hit on one of your weapons again. Be it a short sword, dagger, or short bow.
Do the dagger this time.
Okay, so now click on the name dagger in the chat box. Yeah, so you see how it rolled.
Oh, I see.
It rolled your damage for the dagger and the sneak attack. So that's how you would apply your sneak attack if you qualify to like have sneak attack. Does that make sense?
I see. Yes, I do.
Okay, and all of your abilities are written down so that if you're ever confused on what you can do in combat, I think it's always a good idea to consult your character sheet and just kind of look through all of these things. And because it's a good way to remind yourself on like how certain things work. And that's it. After an hour and 30 minutes,
Sick.
You are totally done. Do you have questions?
Not any that I can think of currently.
Okay. All right, sweet. So we're going to transfer back to the chill zone. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to ask you another series of questions. Are you ready?
What if I said no?
Too bad.
Okay.
Fun stream. It's not over
What are
yet.
your questions?
Don't leave. No, don't leave. So my questions are, how faithfully was I able to recreate the character you had in mind at the start of the stream?
I would say you even bettered it than what I had thought. Because, like, you know, the character sheet I had made by myself, so I had no idea if anything was right. So my expectations were pretty low, but I think you did a pretty good job. I'm sorry.
This is pain, Pekko. Okay, well, that's sick. Do you have a question on how you might play your character in a given circumstance?
Back to the mimicry. Would you expect me to like talk in mimicry? Like you said, like, oh, I could be like,
so you
used to have a really deep voice and then switch over to a really like
you
a different
can
one after.
if you want. I think that it would be fun. Though there are definitely times where it might get kind of frustrating, both for you as a speaker and for the listeners. So I'm not going to force you to do it. However, you might recall from my first D&D stream, I talked about something called inspiration. And if I think that somebody role plays exceptionally well or just does something really, really epic or super funny, I might give them that benefit. And so you acting on your flaws or kind of saying like honk honk your mom would be pretty good. I mean, especially if you just walked up to a guard or something. You know? I might give inspiration. It just depends on the circumstance.
I see.
I always want to encourage good role playing, but just do what feels appropriate to you. You know, if we're in like a super like epic scene or something, and then you're just like, ah! or whatever, it's just like, all right, that's not the world's most sonorous war cry, but okay.
Honk honk your mom.
Honk your mom. Yeah. Because as a Kenku are a lot like changelings, in which you have this whole suite of things that you can like use at your disposal. They're all for roleplay. Like they don't really give you too many like mechanically advantageous things, but it can make the narrative so much more colorful that I think it's like always worth it to jump on and do stuff like that. So, you know, I definitely intend for you to oh my goodness. Hold on a second. I think I'm stupid.
Holding on. I'm holding.
Wait a second. What? Hold on, say something?
Meh.
That's weird. Okay, whatever.
Is it
it's all
doing
good.
something strange?
No, Streamlabs just kind of gave me a weird notification, and it didn't make a lot of sense. But
Oh, I see.
what else was there? Okay, so tomorrow, I guess I should announce this. So tomorrow, I am looking to try and nab one of the other players. Let's see if they will be available. Okay. So tomorrow, for all of you, look forward for another epic character creator. I'm pretty excited for this character. And then by potentially Friday, we'll get the 5th player rolling. I had the opportunity to talk with them earlier today. And so that would mean that my start time of the 1st of December to kind of gather the whole party up, and we'll probably do a test combat and then a test like social encounter, just so everybody gets like a general idea of how to play and what they may or may not do. It'll be like a quick 1-session adventure, and then I'll kind of start you guys out on the campaign on the very next week, which is looking like December 8th. That is the tentative start for Horde of the Dragon Queen. Please look forward to it. Do you have questions, Miyu?
I do not.
You do not. Good. Does the chat have questions for Miyu?
Yes, do they? Oh, you know what I just realized? I have your stream open right now, and I gave you my looking down model, and it looks like I'm just kind of staring down your mug.
It's coffee. You're looking at my
I know,
coffee. You can't take it.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it.
You can't have my coffee.
I'll make myself coffee later.
Nice.
And just my.
You can't have my hot chocolate. You don't have the right GTA mod installed.
Aw, damn it.
Funny joke.
Does Miyu like crackers? What is a Kenku's favorite snack? Anything crunchy.
Crunchy.
It's crunchy. I will eat it.
So wait,
Crunch.
does that mean that we can expect in-game ASMR?
Oh hell yeah! Oh, I
Oh,
didn't even think
yeah,
of that.
let's
You bet I will. I'll
go.
bring up the
Oh.
like fucking like saltines or something. I'll eat them. I'll even
That's what I call role playing right there.
just like during a little like a rest.
so
I'll be
d-
like, I'll whip out my saltines.
Well, yeah. Does that mean that like if you guys are like hunting in the wild, you're gonna actually go out and like kill a squirrel or something and just eat it on stream?
Oh, I'd have to go into the backyard and do that, so I don't think so. It would take too long.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think this is gonna work out. So
Oh.
I now need like a 5th character. No.
No!
Uh,
Oh, the crackers wasn't enough.
The crackers aren't
Expecting
enough.
Too much of me.
no. You'll need more than white people.
Ah, yes. Jeez.
That was a delayed reaction.
It took me a while. I was like, huh? What do you mean white people?
Oh, funny joke.
How funny joke.
All right. So, oh boy.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, we have about 15 minutes left, ish, and I suppose we will wrap up here. Now, I kind of want to look at the party as a whole. So we have an artificer. Oh my god, who didn't hit apply changes? Can't believe I have to finish this character for. Yeah, we have an artificer, a cleric, and now a rogue. Now, what's great about this is that we've fulfilled 3 of the 4 main parts of a party. We have a skill monkey, which is mostly you, Miyu.
Yeah.
But Wim has a ton of skills that focus on crafting. So basically anything you can't do, he can do. So the 2 of you are kind of this unstoppable force of things to do. Now, whether or not you can agree to do them together is...
Wim the skill chimp.
Yeah, well, it's funny because he legally makes money and you don't. Say cleric again, you little weirdo. What are you
Cleric.
talking about?
Cleric.
Yeah, no. Weeb, as well as a little bit of Whim, and I guess Weeb, a bit of Whim, and a little bit of you make up a good amount of damage. And Weeb is a very good tank with some healing abilities. Whim has some healing abilities. And I suspect that our 4th player will have a good amount of healing abilities. Which means that the only one we're really missing is just raw damage. Fat damage.
We're missing a tank.
No. We have a tank. We're missing a DPS.
Oh yes, I got the names mixed up.
Yeah. Yeah, Weeb is generally your tank. Because he has thick armor and a good amount of ways to shrug off damage. Now, here's my question to you. Are you going to be mostly melee focused or what? We need barbarian to Weeb, you are a barbarian, partially. You have the barbarian rage.
We need barbarian to I don't know. I think I'm maybe. What is it, melee? You said?
Yeah, melee or ranged.
I think I'd probably have to go melee for this round.
Alright, melee. I see. Well,
I'm usually a ranged person, but you know.
Right. What makes melee interesting as a rogue is you have a lot of options to move in and out of combat. At level 2, you get the ability to kind of move twice during your turn. One of those movements can just not take attacks of opportunity. So you basically don't have to worry about like getting slapped on your way in or out. But the problem is if you use that special action to do anything else, and then you're just stuck in melee combat, it means it's pretty easy for you to get slapped. So you would be kind of reliant upon Weeb to either help protect you or
Man literally too angry to die.
Yeah. Now, the vast majorities of enemies that you fight aren't super intelligent when you first start, so they'll usually try and hit the thing that looks like the biggest threat, which fortunately for you, you don't really look like a huge threat up until you start stabbing people. Weeb is definitely the most obvious threat of the party thus far. But intelligent enemies might understand that the way that you're moving and the way that you attack on kind of an opportunistic level means that you're going to be a huge problem. Because while you might not do the most upfront damage, you're a lot of constant damage. So that might mean they specifically target everybody other than Weeb first. Which can be pretty bad news bears for you in specific. Wim has the ability to heal himself. He also has guns that he can just kind of summon to more or less do his bidding for him. You know, up until they break. Also, for Jupiter's sake, here, I'll get real close to the microphone. Cleric. It's my cleric. No, it's my cleric ASMR. And, I can do this now. Wait, no. Cleric.
Moist. Sounds like a cleaning product. It does. Yes.
No.
How can you pass me the cleric? I have to wipe down the windows.
Yeah, it kills 99% of heretics. Clerics.
Cleric.
You suck, Burb. What are you talking about? It was the quality ASMR.
Find new cleric brand.
Disinfecting wipes. Yeah, dude, it works out. Purify food and water with cleric. Naughty Burb.
Fat bird. No seed for you.
I don't want any of that.
I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Sounds like someone's just picky.
Purify tables, plates, and souls. New cleric works on all surfaces. What do you want? What I want is some pizza.
Ooh, pizza would totally be good.
I had some pizza at work and oh my god, it was so good. Too bad we can't purify your behavior. What are you tacoing about?
Ouch.
Me too. Hey, let's go get pizza. You know, let's go out and have ourselves a pizza night.
Oh, hell yeah. Monday night pizza night.
No, I can't do it. No, what's wrong? Hold on. Maybe if I... There we go. You know, yeah, let's go out and have a pizza tonight. No. There we go. Yeah, a pizza night. Damn. It's hard to do.
I mean, I'm looking at a stream. It looks like you're struggling just a tiny bit.
Just a little bit. I got you. There we go. It was close. Thanks for making me hungry. Hey, man. That's what I do. Alright. We are 10 minutes out. So I suppose I'll wind up this stream here. Hey, Miyu, guess what you get to do on stream?
What do I get to... Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do it in time. All right. Because everybody else has screwed it up so far. All right. So. Se no Otsukageru. That's better. See, you did a better job. Good job.
I try.
Otsukageru.
Otsukageru.
Oh man. Alright, let's get out of here. Get out of my house.
No, I will not.
No, you can't take my coffee. Wait, what the heck? Okay, there we go. Alright.